Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
First incomplete pass, 14 seconds to go. Avery Book. The left foot and way up at the Swing City. 41-yard line kick. He slipped a little bit. Yeah, maybe he should use his rights. That one worked pretty, wasn't it? 25-yard punt. Not what they were looking for. But so far, the Zips against the number 2 team in the country, they'll take being down 7-3.
Lakes, Arizona, at the cabin. You can see enjoying the different change of scenery, and it's great to be with you on this lovely morning. Hopefully your weekend is off to an amazing, incredible start. We are making sure the tubes have connected themselves here since we are now booted into the intertubes via Starlink. Thank you, Elon. We appreciate that. One place that's not having the benefit of our friend Elon is Brazil today. You may have seen that. Brazil apparently banning X like banned, gone, which is wild because we're wondering when that's going to happen here, coming soon to a country near you. Is it working? I think it is working. That's tremendous news, my friends. It's beautiful to see everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Rub some dirt on it. We got What Say Sadie's in the house. KX250 MX in the house. What's up, Brandon Rudder, M.A. Allen, Matt Boyd. Good to see you, Mr. Trump Train in the house. What's up? What's up? It's a beautiful morning. And so, as you saw on the title today, we have a little bit of a Kamala situation that is underway. And you may have seen this tweet. Kamala Harris is trying to get out of the debates. Oh, because she's terrible at talking or thinking or speaking. So you can see she posted this August 31st. It's got 3 million views. We gave a like to it so that everybody can see it because it's pathetic. You can see she's trying to escape this entire process. So this guy is named Josh Dawsey, and he is a reporter for the Washington Post, faculty, writing a book, dog walker, loud phone talker, the whole thing. And he wrote this. All right, the Trump campaign has accepted these rules. Per Tuesday email to ABC reviewed by the Washington Post, that's his organization, saying Kamala Harris's campaign, though, has not yet accepted these rules as they seek to unmute the microphones for the entire debate. The debate is in less than 2 weeks. And they still don't want to do it because we just had the Walz-Kamala codependency interview, and it didn't go that well for her. It was a C. She didn't fail the class, didn't end her career campaign, but she didn't allay a lot of the concerns that many people had that she can't walk or think or talk or speak. Actually, she can walk. That's the difference between her and Biden. He can't walk. At least Kamala has that going for her. But so then Kamala responded to this, and this is kind of weird. So she posted this. She's a government official, obviously, fighting for the people. All right. Wrote, Donald Trump is surrendering to his advisors who won't allow him to debate with a live microphone.
What?
Surrendering? These are the exact same rules that Joe Biden had, that you wanted to impose when you threw him out and then inherited, or rather stole, his campaign. You specifically said, we're not changing the dates, we're not changing the time, we're not changing the location. Trump better do it. And he said, okay, fine, we'll do it. Same thing as last time, that's fine. And then now they want to change everything. Then they wanted her to be seated rather than standing. They wanted her to have notes and a little cheat sheet. And now they want the mics on, even though they were off previously. So he's not surrendering to anything. He is agreeing to the terms that you demanded. If his own team, she says, doesn't have confidence in him, the American people definitely can't. You go, oh, wow, that is projection if you've ever seen projection. Your entire team will not let you out of your little playpen. And when they do let you out of your playpen, you have to bring your big brother with you. Your team won't let you do anything without a script. And a lot less so now. So she says, we are running for president of the United States. Let's debate in a transparent way. The American people, she says, let's debate in a transparent way with the microphones on the whole time. That's the only hang up. So it seems like, right? It seems like this is my term. I'm kind of setting a term now. Let's debate in a transparent way with the microphones on the whole time. And she's getting raked over the coals on this over on X. Trump has responded. And actually, this was before. So Trump posted this before she posted that. So this was late 2 nights ago, August 30th. And she dropped the other one before. Trump said, I look so forward to debating Comrade Kamala Harris and exposing her for the fraud she is. Harris has changed every one of her long-held positions on everything. America will never allow an election weaponizing Marxists to be president of the United States. And so many people are remembering this from Kamala Harris. Remember, this was back in August, not that long ago, to August 2024, August 15th, a couple weeks ago, when they came out and they said, the following is a statement from Michael Tyler, comms director for Harry Walls. Says the debate about debates is over. Right there. It's in your own press release. So why are you still debating about it? Donald Trump's campaign accepted our proposal. So they always want to keep the alpha frame. So we gave them the terms and they accepted what we gave them. Assuming Trump actually shows up on September 10th. All right. So it looks like you're the one who hasn't agreed to the rules to debate Harris. Walls will see J.D. Vance on October 1st, and the American people will have another opportunity to see Kamala and Trump in October. But we haven't agreed to that at all because they got to see how the first one goes. Voters deserve to see their candidates. The more they play games, this is what their own press conference release said, the more insecure and unserious Trump and Vance reveal themselves to be. Now, those games end now. That was on August 15th. But no, apparently the games don't end at all. They're still playing the games.
Same here, Jack.
Kamala is saying, turn the microphones on, or else we don't want to come and participate with you, and we're not going to show up. And they're going to just continue to make fun or try to blame Trump, I guess, for trying to back out of the debates, which was something that was fictional, clearly. And Trump did respond to Kamala here, saying Kamala is the weakest presidential candidate in history on crime. She's allowed millions of people to pour through our borders, many from prisons, mental institutions, and indeed terrorists coming in at levels never before seen. What gives her the right to run for president? She got no votes to Biden's 14 million. She failed in her previous attempt, was the first one out of 22 people to quit, never even made it to Iowa, and now she's a presidential candidate. Talk about a threat to democracy is what Trump says, and he makes good points on that. Now, in the X sphere, what you'll see is people are reposting what Comrade Kamala has said, and she's getting reamed. You can see Stephen Miller posted this. He says, these are the debate rules that Joe Biden set, Kamala, and that Kamala Harris campaign demanded could not be changed right and up until she's now demanding they should be changed.
I don't think she wants anything that she just ate.
Isn't that convenient how that works? Now, other people are using this meme, which is a funny one, because this is what Kamala Harris looks like. And if you ever saw that one Netflix documentary about the Tigers, this is Joe, the guy from the Tiger Show. And in it, somebody got bit by a tiger, I think. And he says, I'm never going to financially recover from this. It's like his first words out of his mouth. He's like, I'm never going to financially recover from this. They're like, dude, that dude just got his arm bitten off. But all right. So anyways, this is one. Harris campaign after spending $50 million in her I'm Speaking merch, right? People are wondering, why is she so set on the microphones being on? Is it so she can do her thing like she did with Pence? I'm speaking. It's my time. I'm speaking. That's like the only thing anyone remembers from that last exchange. And the question is, maybe they just have a bunch of merch that they have to sell. All of the I'm Speaking merch. And they want to have a good ROI on that. So they need to do it that way. Here was one from Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz says, listen, muted microphones were the original agreed upon rules of the September debate. You're trying to change those, Kamala. It was Trump following the original terms. Noah Bloom says it's kind of wackadoodle how badly she wants to be interrupted so she can say I'm speaking now. It is weird. It's like, please interrupt me. This is Kamala. I demand to be interrupted so I can call you a bigot and a misogynist. Right? Ron DeSantis even came out. He says 90 minutes of word salads doused with platitudes won't be appealing to voters, Kamala. The June debate exposed Biden in a way that the media could no longer cover for. The September debate will expose the real Harris. I totally agree. We've been saying this for a while. The media won't be able to concoct a narrative that will make voters disbelieve their own lying eyes. So she's understandably worried, right? She's trying to find some way to get out of this. Well, we'll only do it if the mics are on. And then Trump won't put the mics on, so he's backing out. Here's one from Julio Rosas. It says, here's the Harris campaign debate strategy. One way that most people could go, give coherent answers as you're just driving down the road. Others would be, I'm speaking, and you just almost kill yourself driving across the Gore area to get off the road. Here's one from Magillis. Here's what Kamala's begging for. Please, Donald, unmute the mics. We've already got some merch made. I'm speaking. It makes the cat ladies go wild. Please, Donald, let me have this. I'm begging you. That's what Kamala sounds like. It's pretty pathetic, honestly. We're not going to have a conversation with you unless you turn the mics on or something, even though those were the original terms. It doesn't make any sense, Kamala. Surely you can handle a debate with the microphones off, just like Joe Biden did. What's the big deal? So the big deal is she's terrible at this. Here was a nice montage from Trump War Room sharing with us all of the different media stings of different people saying this was not a good performance from her, or at least it was average, C average kind of. She didn't fall on her face or fall down a flight of steps like Joe, but she didn't come in here and communicate total confidence in her capability.
It wasn't a huge, I don't think she moved the ball that much forward.
You know, maybe she didn't score a touchdown.
I don't think everyone was saying this was like an A+, but they basically got through it.
We saw why it took her 35 days to do an interview. You know, she was mushy, she was weak, and it was artificial. It felt contrived the whole way. In her second sentence, she said we need a new way forward. And she's the incumbent vice president, so she made the case for change in her second sentence into the interview. I don't think it worked out very well for her.
I don't think there's a policy separation that they've created with Biden. Obviously, she gave a kind of personal defense of him.
The fact check bottom line, Abby,
Already?
she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban. But maybe other people feel differently. I certainly did not hear anywhere in there Kamala Harris saying that she personally had abandoned her previously expressed 2019 view.
She has this very carefully controlled, I think it was an 18-minute interview. Trump goes to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and just stands there and has an open front, town hall meeting. He asked me what you want. He took more questions in that one town hall meeting in La Crosse than she will take in the next 2 weeks.
She is making it clear that she will embrace and be a continuation of Biden's economic policy, his record, what they've done. She offered no remorse, no regrets, no introspection about anything they've done.
I think it was actually incredibly confusing, the entire interview, from the tone to the setup to the questions that were asked without any sort of follow-up. But I also think it shows the ineptness of this entire campaign in putting her forward.
Yeah, and I think there was a component of this that felt a little awkward. It's like when friends have to have a hard conversation with another friend. That's what the feel was from Dana Bash over to Kamala. Like Dana, and we even saw it when she was stumbling over herself with the multiple choice question. You know, I don't think this a lot. Like, you know how much I love you. You're incredible. Like, we've been friends forever. So don't be upset with me when I bring this up. But some people out there, not me though, other people are saying that, you know, maybe some of your opinions have shifted a little bit and they're a little bit worried about why that might be. But like, it's totally understandable why they might have, because because you're, you know, learned a lot and you're smarter now. And like, you have a lot of experience now and like, you're a good person. And so you learn. So like, it could be that, or it's like, you could be like cynical political person just running, you know, to get votes. Like, not that one though. So it's probably like this, right? Like, what do you, right? Because you're awesome and we love you here. It felt like that. It felt awkward. It felt like Dana did not want to do this. Like, I'm sorry I have to do this, bro, but like, and you run into this in the law a lot. Like, you run up against other people. You're like, dude, like, I like you personally, but it's about to get real now, and things get awkward, right? Things get a little bit weird, but it's not supposed to be that way for these people. It's not supposed to be like that with Dana Bash and Kamala Harris. Dana should have no problem going in there, like, and just slicing and dicing. But that's not what this is. It's a patty cake game. And everybody could feel that. It felt strange. And in fact, there's this mashup that came out from Jeffrey Ingersoll, actually created by Maze, who's an amazing follow over on X. He's mashing it up. He's saying, look, very different feel between Kamala and JD Vance. And you could just see it, right? In this one, you could see it in her face. She's just filled with disdain against him. And then when it comes over to Kamala, it's a totally different vibe. So let's listen to this.
You guys seem to be struggling a little bit. Kamala Harris has been calling the shots. As who? There's no evidence that Kamala Harris threw him overboard, called you and Donald Trump, and that is weird.
Sure.
You're saying Tim Walz doesn't have affection for his wife? I don't even understand that. They have done both. They have both policies, and they are trying to define it. You have been on the campaign trail questioning Tim Walz's military record. Governor Walz served 24 years. Sure. He even stayed after he could have retired because of 9/11, more than the country asked of him.
Totally vouching for him. He's incredible. You guys suck. Why are you so bad at everything you do? Why are they so amazing? You hate his love with his family? JD, wow, what a piece of work you are.
Do you honor his service? I will say that the Harris-Walz campaign did say that the governor misspoke. That was a month before the National Guard even announced that it was possible that they would deploy to Iraq, and it ended up being 2 months. He retired 2 months before they actually got the paperwork. You know, I've seen a lot of statements from veterans, including those you served with, saying it's just untoward to be criticizing somebody who served for 24 years.
Crazy.
Donald Trump didn't serve in the military. He received a medical draft deferment. Do you find that shameful too?
I mean,
You don't
really
think he
honors our
so you
veterans.
think he had
honors me
bones
for my service.
You wrote the foreword for a new book by Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts of Project 2025. Whether or not a Trump-Vance administration would allow mifepristone, why is not allowing her to end that pregnancy helpful or supportive of expanding families like you want it to be? Fatal and could potentially hurt her ability to have more kids. Said she was almost a childless daughter.
All right, you get the point. Goes on for another 2 minutes, right? It was just a hatchet job because that's who this woman is. And when she came back out with Kamala, it was like patty cake. I'm really sorry I have to do this. Gonna ask you like kind of a serious question, maybe a little bit.
Not easy to do.
But I'm gonna give you a framework though, so you can just walk right through it. Here's a nice little cheat sheet through it. And that's going to be sufficient. And honestly, we'll see if Kamala does it again. She's trying to get out of the debate, as you see. I'm not going to do it unless the mics are on. And now Trump's backing out of it, right? They're going to try that again because they know she might be doomed if she actually presents herself in front of the American people. Now, we saw this last time when she was in her interview. she came out very strong, very in favor of Israel. And we thought, whoa, that's pretty interesting. Weren't expecting that exactly, because she's trying to thread the needle, play both sides. Joe Biden's been trying to play both sides because they got to win Michigan and Minnesota, where there are giant bases of Palestinian support. And we've seen comments from people who are representing that side saying, we're not to be taken for granted this year. Okay, we're not just going to show up for the Democrats like normal. And so we've been asking ourselves, how is this going to fall when Kamala has to take a position? But now you see Breitbart's reporting this. Nick Gilbertson
That's what I care about.
said Kamala's facing a severe crisis with the pro-Palestinian wing of her own party as she doubled down on the Israel policies. Dana Bash pressed Harris on the arms policy, kind of, toward Israel, after she initially skirted a direct question about potentially withholding some arms. Well, will you withhold some arms so there's some leverage to negotiate?
Look how little this kid is.
Prominent pro-Palestinian figures, including Rashida Tlaib. Now, the response and the fallout underscores a big problem for Harris, who's fractured her base. These voters, more than 500,000 of whom protested Biden and Harris with uncommitted. Remember that when they voted during the primary. They have threatened and continue to threaten to stay home in November, barring any radical change or ceasefire. The movement includes Arab Americans, Muslims, young voters, and far-left progressives. We're all furious with them. So making the problem so severe for Harris is that the movement began in the ever-critical swing state of Michigan and spread to other states like Wisconsin. Yes. Harris is on shaky ground there, considering she still has not brought her home her base at a point in the cycle where they're trying to usually court moderates. Now, her commitment to Israel ignited everybody, and we were listening to this. Would you do anything differently, she said? And basically, she said no. And then she went through, she said, unequivocal, unwavering in her support for Israel, before tiptoeing around any specifics. Goes back, walks us through October 7th. Okay, but no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth. No, we have to get a deal done, which I think is the major criticism. It's like, well, how are you going to get a deal done if you just give one side everything that they ask for to take out the other side, right?
Yeah, X and Facebook are still not connecting. I disconnected everything, removed the permissions, re-added it, still won't connect to X or Facebook.
I remain committed, since I've been on October 8th, to what we must do. Make sure the Palestinians, so make sure Israel's secure, but in the meantime, that by equal measure, okay, that the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity. So pro-Palestinian progressives panned this.
Yeah.
Many were upset. Says Rashida Tlaib says, to be clear, this is Kamala saying she will disregard U.S. and international law by sending weapons to a government committing human rights violations. Rashida Tlaib in the House of Representatives said, that's right, war crimes and genocide will continue. Mehdi Hassan says, Harris dodged a direct question from Dana Bash on CNN as to whether there will be any change of policy. She simply repeats, we must get a deal done. Oh, and by the way, as Naomi Klein and I discussed today, Harris and Biden can impose a deal. Just impose a deal. Like we're giving you all this stuff, just take it. But they're all upset. So he zoned in. He said, even Biden has said that he would restrict some weapons. But he says, where's the empathy there, right? And so people are upset about it.
I know you did. I appreciate it.
Wondering how the fallout was going to be. No comment tonight from AOC, who claimed Harris was working tirelessly for a ceasefire.
But I did set up just a presence.
So AOC's like, better keep it quiet. Like, don't say anything about this.
On Facebook.
Over on Instagram, AOC is talking about how much IUD insertions hurt and how little we care about women's pain. And she's not talking about the Palestinians. So that's a nice little fracture over there. Here's Cenk from the Young Turks. Says Kamala Harris's answer on Israel was terrible. If you say you're never going to question Israel's funding or the weapons we're sending them, by definition, you're not doing all you can to get a ceasefire. If you're not using your leverage, you're not doing You're doing nothing but empty words. Glenn Greenwald says, remember those scumbag left liberal YouTube hosts and Twitch streamers who spent 10 months profiting greatly by screaming genocide about Gaza through monetized traffic and radical branding posturing, who then began lying that Kamala would be different on Israel than Biden? Yeah, they're all whatever. They don't care about policy, right? So genocide, there's genocide, but we love Kamala too. Okay. Remember those scumbag left liberal YouTube hosts is what Glenn Greenwald said. On point, as always, Glenn Greenwald. So here's more. There's some tension inside the Frankenstein Kamala Harris team, and there's not so many good vibes. There are competing factions. We've got Harris loyalists, we have Biden campaign people, and Obama alumni all being grafted in to this so-called campaign. Biden's campaign was insular, with a few long-serving aides making big decisions. And the Harris campaign has become a diffuse Frankenstein team with multiple power players. Harris kept most of Biden's team in place, but the main architect has been Mike Donilon. She brought on her own staffer. She brought on aides from Obama's people. Her team has been wary of making the Biden people feel set aside, but there has been some internal confusion about who's in charge. The entanglement of these different entities has led to many people feeling a real lack of role clarity. She's, I think, pretty terrible at managing people. I think she lost, 90+% of her staff through turnover. Another person, or cackling, I don't know. Another person involved with the campaign said there isn't as much tension at the very, very top, where the question is more, who is the first among equals with the vice president? There's confusion who's in charge. What's happening 2 or 3 rungs down? Some on Biden's team thought many top Obama aides had been second-guessing their decisions. Harris brought on Mark Elias. Wow, he's back in the picture. Remember him? Biden had split with Elias last year because he's a piece of work, in my opinion. Elias now helping with their recount strategy. Same guy who helped file all those lawsuits in 2020 using COVID to get the election rules changed. He's back again, of course. He's close with Eric Holder, who served under Obama. They found Tim Walz. Don't think that was a great pick for them, but all right. People involved in the campaign are now hoping the short timetable won't allow the tensions to fester. It's just a mad dash. So they just have to limp across the finish line, and that's going to be good enough. Harris and her people declining to comment, but there's more reaction out there to this entire ordeal. And Nancy Pelosi was on with Bill Maher last night, and he was asking her about this, about throwing Joe Biden out after a bunch of people had voted for him. And I wonder how many people who were on Team Joe Biden are going to be bitter enough about this to stay home. Is there going to be anybody there? What percentage of those people? Like, I'm talking the riding with Biden people, you know, the people who thought he was really, there's a small percentage of them. Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Is it 2%? Is it 20% of the Democrats? Are they going to stay home because they feel betrayed? You would absolutely imagine that on the Republican side, obviously. If they came out after the RNC and they said, Trump's a convicted felon, and so Nikki Haley's going to be your nominee now. If they threw Trump out and we had Nikki Haley, for example,
so it looks like Bao
without anything, right? You think we're going to the polls? You think your boys going to the polls to vote for Nikki Haley if they stab us in the back like that? Answer, no. And would the Democrats do that too? I don't know. Did Biden have that much enthusiasm? Is there a contingent there of the people who are just going to stay home because people like Nancy Pelosi told them their votes don't matter, their opinions don't matter, and she's going to come threatening against Joe to get him out of office? Here's what this conversation sounded like.
Many times when I'm encouraging people to run, especially more women to run for office, nothing more wholesome than our political process than that. Aren't we excited about?
Yes, and sometimes you're discouraging people to run. We're not going to get into that.
No,
whatever.
People make their own decisions.
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely, they do. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for what you didn't do.
Funny.
Last question.
It's funny, right? These are the same people who have been hyperventilating and hysterical about January 6th and an insurrection, about peaceful transitions of power. And they cooed him out of there. Joe Biden said multiple times, there are X posts from his X account saying it. I am staying in this race, like 6-7 times. We made that same point as we were going through this. People kept coming out. They said, well, do you think Joe Biden's going to leave? He said, no, for the 50th time. I'm not leaving. And then they'd go to Nancy Pelosi right after Joe Biden's press conference, and they say, do you think he's going to leave? Well, I think he's still undecided. They're like, what? You just heard him. Well, there's still a lot to think about. I mean, he might change later. Who knows? What on earth? And they cooed him out of there. He did not want to leave. They threatened him until he left. And then they sit around and yuck up about it. We saw the same thing with Gavin Newsom on that podcast, where he was sitting around with those Pod Save America bros, and they're all, they told me to say it was an intentional decision of the president. Doing the same thing, Nancy Pelosi. The hysterical insurrectionist, people crying foul constantly, are now just going to laugh at their own insurrection like it's meaningless.
But when Joe stepped down, did you want it to be an open convention as opposed to going right to Kamala?
Well, here's the plan. Kamala, it was open. Anybody could have gotten in. She wrapped it up. You have to give her credit for that.
I do, totally. And the Democratic Party, you know what? That's the smartest thing they did, because they just had a big internal fight. They couldn't afford another one. They would have looked like we always think, oh, they're disorganized, and they just got their you-know-what together. Thank you so much.
Yeah, they got their replacement right in there because that was all part of the plan. So these people, like Nancy Pelosi, are talking about their plan to reshape America by bringing in tens of millions of illegals. They want to give them citizenship. California wants to give them $150,000 if they win a lottery so that they can get housing. We got Kamala saying that they're going to get $25,000 to first-time homeowners. Now it's shifting into a tax credit, but you understand the intention, the direction of where this is all going. Now they want to build them houses, right? They want to make them citizens. They want to dilute the rest of the country out and create this melting pot of people who are not melting into anything. And this is Pelosi talking about their strategy.
The California lawmakers just passed a law. It hasn't been signed by Governor Newsom, but giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration. Now, I'm not going to say that's what the country's going to do, but that's certainly where California is.
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But
see that? Just say it differently. Are they getting a free house? Well, kind of. But we're not going to call it that. We're going to call it the American dream for a bunch of people who aren't Americans.
I understand this about immigration. The best speech on immigration was by President Ronald Reagan. This is the last speech I will make as President of the United States. I want to communicate a message to the country I love. And you talked about the Statue of Liberty and the beacon of hope it is to the world, and what America was preeminent in the world because our door was always open, and we will cease to be preeminent when we shut the door. Now, I don't do justice to the great communicator. Google it. It's a fabulous speech. And George Herbert Walker Bush continued in that respect for the diversity of America and the rest.
Yeah, it was a giant mistake from Reagan.
Always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states.
And I think the idea with Reagan was this was going to be the solution, right? We were actually going to solve the problem at that time. We've had this many times. Bush tried it too. They all tried this comprehensive immigration reform bill that's going to solve everything. Never does. only codifies the current problem into law, and then it gets worse. It's been that way every year, which is why they were so adversarial to Trump when he wanted to build a wall, because that might actually stop it, and they don't want that to happen.
Last year was beautiful diversity.
So you'd vote for this law? So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what that is, but making the American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
This is before you rest of this. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
Well, what I would like to do is move them to documented.
Yeah.
The fact that move them to documented.
And then give them free houses.
One of the best things that we can do for our economy is to pass comprehensive immigration.
There it is. She just said it. Comprehensive immigration reform. So they can pork it up with a bunch of garbage, and then they can codify the current problem, and then they can enable more to happen. Langford's bill wanted like 4,000 people illegally coming in a day. What kind of a bill is that? We'll only get serious about enforcing the border if it's over 4,000 a day. Then we'll get serious about it. How about it's 0? And people can come through the port of entry, and our border is secure like a normal nation. But they don't want that to happen because they don't like the current demographics of this country. And they want a bunch more people that they can bring in, who can displace the middle class, create a tremendous need for government control, government services, and they can tax everybody and reshape the entire country. So they're in the middle of their plan. And we also had this reaction from Tim Walz. Remember that Tim Walz, in his interview with Dana, said that he would never denigrate someone else's service. Remember he said that? Never. Well, he did. He called them all people at the National Guard when they were arguing about bringing them in to secure the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis. He said that they were just 19-year-old cooks.
Connecting the way it's supposed to.
Seems pretty denigrating to me.
I don't think the mayor knew what he was asking for. He wanted the National Guard, and what does that mean? I think to the mayor, yes, I think it's a perception. I'm certainly not questioning that. I think the mayor said, I request the National Guard. Ooh, I'm out. This is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks in some cases. And what are we going to do, and how are we going to use them?
19-year-olds who were cooks. Brave men and women who were serving our country as National Guardsmen and women. Cooks seems pretty denigrating to me. So he's also a hypocrite. Now, apparently, Tim Walz's brother is out there, and he might be a problem for the Harry Walz campaign. You see, the brother of Walz revealed that Kamala and her running mate is not the type of character that you want making decisions about your future. Uh-oh. In a Facebook post from March 2023, Jeff Walz, one of Minnesota governor's siblings, responded to comments from people telling him to talk to his brother and to help MAGA. He said, "We've just become a third world banana republic," he wrote in a post at the time. Now, one of the commenters on the post said, "Jeff, you got to have a talk with your brother, Tim, all right? Talk to your brother, Tim." He says, "I haven't spoken to him in 8 years," Walz claimed in a comment. He says, "I'm opposed to all his ideology," Walz's brother, Jeff. "My family wasn't given any notice that he was selected, and we were denied security the days after." In another comment, a person told him, "Hey, man, get out there and help MAGA. Get on the stage with President Trump and endorse him. Help save this country." Tim's brother said, "I've thought hard about doing something like that. I'm torn between that and just keeping my family out of it. The stories I could tell, not the type of character you want making decisions about your future." Yeah, that's a good take on that, because he says he carried weapons of war and all the stuff. So we'll see if Walz's brother comes out and is more involved in the campaign. Here is what Tim Walz's wife has been sounding like when she's out on the campaign trail. This clipped over from Johnny MAGA on the X. Here's what Mrs. Walz sounds like.
How about you mind your own business? Yes! And we certainly won't stand for Donald Trump trying to rewrite his record on reproductive health care. He tried that yesterday. Teachers, you can smell that a mile away, can't you? Yes. And in the classroom, we believe in telling the truth, right? So here are the facts, and there aren't any alternatives to these. Donald Trump is the one who took down Roe and put access to IVF at risk. That's a fact. And he's running on a platform.
It's actually the Supreme Court that made that change, and then the states voted on making the other changes. Donald Trump wasn't responsible for that at all. Donald Trump was elected and then nominated some Supreme Court judges, and then those Supreme Court judges went through a Senate confirmation process, and so a bunch of senators voted for them to have that position. So then the Supreme Court reasoned through a case that's been universally reviled because it was like Congress was in the Supreme Court. It's not how it's supposed to work in our country, unfortunately, for your side. If you want your national abortion stuff done, just pass it at the federal level. It's not complicated. All you got to do is just get enough people to support it and introduce it and run on it. But they don't want to do that. They want the courts to come in and say it's in the Constitution somewhere, but it's not. So interesting exchange. She's just about as animated as Tim Walz is, isn't she? She's getting out there screaming from the rooftops about Lord knows what. It says there's going to be truth in the schools. What is she talking about? Truth in the schools? About genitals or something? And intercourse with same-sex relationships or something? I don't know what's going on. But here it was, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is out and about campaigning on behalf of President Trump, saying Harris's CNN interview exposed her as weak and insecure. True. Looking down, looking kind of meek, which of course is exactly the qualities that will make her the perfect puppet controlled by the faceless, power-hungry warmongers, yes, who run our country right now. She will be the dream president for the puppet masters because she'll be so easy to control and to influence. Here is what Tulsi sounded like over on the airwaves.
Well, first of all, I think let's just take a step back and look at the lead up to this massively hyped up interview. They've been hyping this up now for over a month. She's going to do a big interview before the end of the month. And so everyone was watching. We're looking, okay, what is this big interview going to be? Finally, Kamala Harris, after 39 days, Queen Kamala descends from her tower to come and talk to the little people.
Yeah.
And then what
Nice
we
to hear
saw
from you, Kamala.
Made very clear what they've been trying to hide. She came across as very weak, insecure, clearly out of depth on any kind of issues.
There is a 2-minute warning
and
now.
not even knowing where
College
she
football.
stands on different issues or frankly what her plans are. And she came across as someone who's afraid. And what she's afraid of is that we, the people, will see what she's trying to hide, and that there will be this moment that the American people will be like that child that has the courage to say, hey, guys, the emperor's got no clothes on. And that's her. That's her right now. And that's what came across and I think has been made very clear. It'll be interesting to see now whether they stick with this strategy of trying to hide her or whether the American people are going to continue to see who Kamala Harris really is.
Well, that's right. What's the alternate strategy now? Because I really think this is a big moment in the campaign. So do the betting markets, by the way, which totally flipped in favor of Donald Trump after this aired. How do you play it? Do you hide her more and play into the caricature that she's not capable? Do you put her out there? But if you put her out there, then she has to actually answer questions, and the big debate's coming up. So where do they go next?
Bunker, tell the debate.
Who knows what they're going to do? I'm sure they're telling themselves and telling her that she did a good job. But I can tell you what the American people need to hear and they need to see from both candidates running for president is who are you? What do you stand for? What is your record and what is your plan to solve what is so broken in this country? I've been traveling with President Trump across different states just over this past week alone, and I've seen him in real time talking with reporters, answering tough questions that have not been pre-vetted, answering questions from voters in the country, speaking about his record, speaking about issues. Voters deserve that from every candidate running for president, and they are not getting it from Kamala Harris. And I think we're seeing why, because she doesn't have anything to say.
She doesn't have it. There's nothing there. And the more we hear from her, the more that will be revealed. And so they're trying to get out of the debate. They're scrambling. Turn the mics on or else we're not going to come talk to you. All right. Well, meanwhile, Trump is out and about, and you can see he sat down with this group. I think it was I'm not sure where it was, but here was Trump talking about Elon. This was a pretty interesting and funny exchange because he's kind of doing an imitation of Elon Musk, having had some more time with him. We had a full interview with Elon on X, and we know Elon is supporting Trump aggressively this campaign cycle, which we're very happy about. So here's Trump commenting on who Elon is.
With Elon, it's like, well, I'm doing a new stainless steel hub that can get us around the engines much quicker because there's a problem with the type of engine going into space nowadays. And I'm hearing that. And but in the end, I think we can have a good hookup because of the new foils that are coming up. And I'm hearing everything that's going through his mind
as it's going.
But he's a super genius guy.
Oh, I loved.
Yeah, he's a super genius guy because the foils and the engines and the tubes and the rotator splint cuffs and the Johnson rods and all the things, they all add in there and it just works, right? And he's just a super genius guy. So that's funny. It's like a nice compliment from Trump. But he also is talking about TDS, major problem for many Democrats out there. Here's Trump on TDS.
Did you ever think about running for office at other times in your lives? And then just some advice, because you come under fire a lot. Our moms are standing for things that often the media attacks them on. We'd love to get some advice from you about running for office.
Yeah, so I would say don't do it.
No, run for office. We want you to run for office.
I do say this, though. It is nastier to run as a Republican. Now, I'm the ultimate,
Yeah.
They suffer from a thing called TDS. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
TDS, it's a horrible, horrible terminal disease. It destroys the mind. It destroys the mind before the body, but the body eventually goes. TDS is Trump derangement syndrome.
And it afflicts millions of Democrats everywhere. That's why they need Independra, the once daily pill that will cure you of your insurrectionitis and your democratobia. Just take Independra, vote Trump, and you'll be saved. All right, so good stuff, my friends. It's a beautiful Saturday. It's a beautiful morning. Let's see who is here and joining us. What's up, Sweet? Sweet is in the house. Says the left is saying Trump is trying to get out of the debates. Check out Philip DeFranco on YouTube to see what they're believing. It's nuts. Yeah, and they're good, right? They're just making that narrative up. I've been asked about that. Somebody asked me, is Trump trying to get out of the debates? I'm like, where the hell did you hear that? He's trying to have 3 of them. And well, that's what they're saying out there. I'm like, well, he wants 3. She wants 1, and it's even questionable. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's like weird. It's weird that they can control the narrative that aggressively, but it's true. It almost works. So it's a beautiful day, my friends, and it's great to see everybody in here. What's up to our YouTube friends? I see some nice donos have come in. Whoa, what's up? Let's pop our YouTube friends out. Can I share this screen? Yeah, I can. Okay, so I got a couple ideas on how we can do this today. All right, so it's a beautiful day, my friends. Let's see who is joining us. I see some amazing locals, donos in the house. Hollow Weird says, love you, fight. Rest of the statement is here.
All right, I was just doing this to test the Rumble Studio, see if it's what I was doing was going to fix it, but it's still not connecting to X. Not that worried about Facebook, but I want to be able to broadcast on X, and I don't know why it won't work. We'll keep working on it. I'll see you guys later. We'll watch some football. I'll get some wings on the way in. I'll see you guys later. They're all.
I see a road rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place off the liquor that we chase. Casamigos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine. Got a fine little body and her mind's kinda naughty. They say that once you taste it, you cannot replace it. She could get you high, all the dopamine inside triggers fast once she's naked. Her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn good statement. There is no replacement, a body by Satan. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place off the liquor that we chase. Casamigos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on her tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine.
Looking at that, they were going to charge me more. I was like, might as well.